The all-American half pounder, 2 pure beef patties, lettuce, tomato.
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Steve McGowan.
I'm Adrienne and Meddock. We're in a band, the Beef People, who released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records. But we're record collectors and passionate especially about the expression of pop music perfection that is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes for a great single is what propelled us to begin this podcast. And this podcast is episode number
087.
087, and we're talking about a great sort of, I called them as we were talking about the episode, the Singles Going Steady supergroup.
Yes. Because
it's a trio, and each of the members was featured in a previous separate podcast.
Absolutely. The band is called Sugar.
Sugar.
And we are talking about Bob Mould.
Right. So we got Husker Du's Bob Mould, right, who's sort of the lead singer, lead songwriter for Sugar, and this power trio that he put together after Husker Du.
And after he did a couple of solo records.
Right. So came back to form a group, and he's got a member of Mercyland, who we had a prior podcast about, and a member of Human Sexual Response that we had a prior podcast about. So it becomes the Singles Going Steady supergroup.
So for those of you keeping track, score at home, our Husker Du Singles Going Steady is number 007. Our Human Sexual Response Singles Going Steady is number 018. And our Mercyland Singles Going Steady is number 032.
There you go. Somebody had the foresight to jot those down.
I usually I'll say they're number 5.
Right.
None of them are number 5.
Except Nick Lowe. I think Nick Lowe is number 5.
All right. Well, none of the ones we're talking about. Nick's not in the band at this point.
Right.
So, Husker Du is one of my favorite bands, and one of yours as well.
Right.
I had 2 songwriters, Grant Hart and Bob Mould.
But this is not Husker Du Redo.
No.
Redux.
How many ducks?
Right. But, I mean, this is something totally different.
Yes. It's punk, but it's definitely got a different flavor to it. Bob Mould released 2 solo records. He did the Workbook record, which had a little bit more of a acoustic sound to it. Then he did the Black Sheets of Rain record, which is very heavy and very, very kind of depressing sounding. Neither of them did well. He was dropped from his label.
But this is a return to rock.
Right. And then they came back with Sugar. Did the first record was called Copper Blue, which is an excellent record. He did an EP called Beaster, which has a lot of religious overtones, as you might imagine. And that did okay, and then he came out with File Under Easy Listening, or Fuel.
We mean they, right?
They,
right?
he.
So Sugar, because it's really more than just a solo effort.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a true trio,
right?
Even though
they all contribute,
right?
Yes, indeed. And so this single is from that record, File Under Easy Listening. It's called Your Favorite Thing. We did a round robin trying to pick the Sugar single that we wanted to do the podcast on, because there are more than one that are excellent.
And there's pure sort of punk pop sensibility here.
Right.
It's lousy, it's noisy, it's
right.
fun, it's heartfelt.
Yes. And so we're going to play it for you now from 1994. In the U.S., they were on Rykodisc. It was a CD single. In the UK, they were on Creation Records, who we've talked about before, and they actually did a 7-inch vinyl in the UK. 1994, Sugar, Your Favorite Thing. So there we go. Your favorite thing. A very
Exuberant.
yes, kind of positive. Bob Mould is not always known for his positive vibe.
Right. But
His music is very cathartic.
there's some tentativeness there. But in fact, because I know they played in Athens, did some rehearsal in Athens.
Right.
I get sort of some like REM leaking
A little
into
bit,
this,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's got that sort of uplifting. Even though there's some emotional tentativeness
Right.
here. I mean, the music belies that.
Yes.
There's joy and there's exuberance.
It's got that beautiful little guitar figure. The almost hammered on little, which is really difficult to play, and the chord sequence is beautiful. He really, on this whole record, he emphasized the vocals because he's not known for having the most. His voice doesn't have a great
Smooth.
range.
I can't even say it.
He doesn't have a great range, but
Right.
sometimes he can just bark them out.
It serves it well.
But
I mean,
he
this-
really, on this song, there's oohs and there's ahs and there's multi-tracking, and he's really taking his time with the vocals, and it really
It's not
really
strained, though.
serves the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So he met Malcolm Travis from the drummer from Human Sexual Response. They were his band. His later band with some of the guys from Human Sexual Response was called the Zulus, and Bob Mould produced one of the Zulus records, and I think that's how he poached the drummer.
Yoink.
We probably will be talking about the Zulus in a future podcast because they were a great band as well. And David, we know from Mercyland, who was a
Right.
band that we played with in the Beef People.
Right, and there's the Mercyland podcast that
right.
we have
And
with the great
you can hear
Black
about
on
that,
Black
but
on Black.
They were friends of ours, great guys in that band. Had a great single, put out a lot of good music, and this really helped David, advance his career as well. He was an integral part of the band.
Yeah, and I think this sounds like a real combo, and it's interesting to have that trio formation
Right.
because it sounds so different than Husker Du. Not
Yes.
that this couldn't have been a Husker Du song,
Right, but the way it's produced and the way it's approached is different. You're right.
Right. And but just like what an exuberant, it just fills your heart.
Yes. It's emotional. It's an emotional song.
It is.
And that slow down ending is just great. Really, really like it. You can tell I'm a big fan, so it's I don't want to try to gush too much about it, but I do love Sugar and their music.
And we are recording this on the heels of talking about Velocity Girl.
Right.
And I and sometimes even the temporal juxtaposition can bring out
Right.
some of the commonalities. And I was sort of remarking how the art was very similar, where you've got that
Yeah.
inspiration of like mid-century
Right.
commercial design, both on the artwork
Yes.
that surrounding the Velocity Girl release, both on the single
Right.
and on the album. Simpatico, and you've
Right.
got more of it's like men's pajamas, boys' pajamas
Yeah.
from the '60s, kind of design for file under easy listening.
Also reminds me a little bit of the Dory Do-It-Yourself
Right,
wallpaper.
it's got some of that
Yeah.
Barney Bubbles
Yeah.
sort of inspiration of commercial art.
Right.
FB
Like swatches.
style, yeah, and like fabric swatches,
Right.
not like the not like the '80s
No,
watch
no.
from Switzerland,
Like
or
the one
whatever.
you're wearing now.
But yeah, so I think that it was that there was an undercurrent of that Creation Records that you see there, and as a commonality too. I really like this single. I like this record.
Right.
It's a great one. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just dance on the couch, jump on the couch.
Yep. We love Sugar. They were short-lived. The 2.5 records. There were some re-releases. Bob has gone on to have quite a solo career, and Saw him recently just playing on his own.
Right, and there's a review up on
Yep.
on the website.
Just wonderful. He's another one of those artists that's been kind of a constant in my life. I was lucky enough to see Sugar. I think I've seen them twice. I only really clearly remember once seeing them in Atlanta at a venue I'd never been to before. And it was crazy. It was a big hall. We were up front. It was very loud. I clearly remember them playing cover of The Who's Armonia City in the Sky with all the backwards guitar, and he was doing it. I don't know what pedals he was using, but it was off the charts.
Yeah. And I don't believe I ever caught him, so maybe your two make up for my zero.
Yeah, well, it was something. They were really they could play, and they rocked.
Well, who can you hear rocking this song then?
I would like to hear a cover of this with a little bit more traditional kind of approach to it. And I was thinking about a band that I think could do it. I was thinking about Guided by Voices.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of straight out giving it the Who treatment.
There you go.
As they could, and with Bob Pollard giving it a little softer edge on the vocals, maybe. And I'd like to see what they could do with something like that. What do you hear?
I'd like to hear Velocity Girl, but with the flip, with male vocals taking the lead and backing female vocals.
Mm-hmm. That would
but
be
I
nice.
think I just was looking at sort of the commonalities there, and I think that would be an interesting take.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think they can do the noisy guitars to live up to it,
Right.
and to get a female voice on it I think would be interesting as well.
So my recommendation this week is for the guitar players out there. If you want to get that Bob Mould Husker Du sound, most of you would already know, but if you don't, he uses a guitar pedal called an MXR Distortion Plus. It's a little yellow pedal. There are many versions of it, and just like most guitar geek things, the old ones are worth a lot of money. The new ones are not supposed to be so good. Whatever, they all sound the same to me. They all make noise, and all the early Husker Du records, he just plugged into the pedal and a chorus and straight into the board, no amps or anything, to get that really nasty sound. But he's always used that pedal, and if you want to just play at home and get that sound without having to play through a 100-watt amp and get kicked out of your house, that's a good way to do it. So that's my recommendation. Do you have a recommendation today?
I'm not sure that I have a recommendation today.
Well,
that was so thorough.
You can take one off.
Okay, yeah. So I'm taking the recommender is taking the day off.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, because we had a lot to talk about with Sugar. Again, one of our favorite bands. Great people, great music. It's really what, my bands that I've played in after the Beef People have always covered Sugar songs. We used to do G Angel quite a bit and a couple other ones. Not this one, because it was too difficult to play. But just love them. Love them.
Yeah. So you've got a little mini marathon you can do there, playing the three
2.5 records.
The three podcasts.
Yeah, right.
And then summing it all up with this one.
Yes, good homework for you kids if you haven't listened to them yet.
Right.
All right. So thanks for listening with us, and we will talk to you next time.
Next time.
Bye now.
To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records.
Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.